You are listening to Insights with Kathleen. Please join me while I share my insights and experiences with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself for the answers that you already have. As with all information we receive, take what speaks to you and leave the rest. So glad you can join us for our second episode. You're going to find Sherry and I in mid-conversation. So here we go. So part of that journey they're sharing with us, that frustration where, they're just beating up against a wall that they created.
Yeah.
And we're seeing from our perspective that there is another side to that wall. And if they would wiggle their little toe just this way, the wall would tumble down, right?
Yes.
So the thing is, though, as we're watching and witnessing that, there's a growth opportunity for us at the same time. And this is where... especially like if you're an empath and you take on other people's emotions, where one, you get to practice to allow that emotion to keep moving. It's not yours. Don't let it settle.
Yeah.
You just welcome it in and you welcome it to keep going.
Oh, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
And then the other piece too is to remember that this is their journey.
Yeah.
That wall is theirs.
Yes.
It's not up to us to knock their wall down for them.
You're right.
But I think you're brilliant in that you validated, showed that person love, that they're loved, that they matter, right?
Yeah.
And you also, try to turn their focus to the fact to say, hey, you have it within you.
Yeah.
You are that powerful that that's your wall. You created it. You can knock it down.
Yeah. No, for sure. Exactly. And I love it because I talked with you for a while with stuff, and now I have my inner Kathleen monologue. And when I was talking to who the person, I was just I feel like I'm just hitting a wall, and I'm like, you know what would Kathleen say? She'd be like, just validate them, just let them know that you're there. They most likely just want to talk, and just be like, hey, I validate you, I love you, you're doing great, and I'm just cheering for you. So
and that is the hardest thing too. And then when you're also dealing with people who have that wall, and now they're feeling extremely depressed, and now you have the holidays coming in.
Oh yeah,
makes people even more depressed. Because, and the reason it makes them more depressed because now they feel more lonely.
They do, and every Lifetime movie or whatever, I just find it funny how they're just if you just fill the void of having a significant other or whatever on Valentine's, not on Valentine's Day, on the holidays or whatever, and I'm just I don't know, when I was younger, I was man, that makes me feel even more lonely because I don't have a person, and just stuff pointing back to that. So
well, yeah, and society in general tells us and sets things up that we need to have a significant other.
Oh,
or
for
that
sure.
You're less than if you don't have a significant other. But that's where I come back and I say, hey, I am my significant other.
I'm my own prince.
There you go.
We put that on the shirt.
Yeah,
that's what we
putting
did.
that on the shirt for sure.
Oh my gosh. No, you're right.
But yeah, so, and that too is where I would say to both of these individuals that we're both referencing, the two different individuals that we're referencing.
Yeah, of course.
Is where they need to really look inside of themselves and understand that they need to rock their own world and not wait for somebody else to come to rock it.
Oh,
that they need to validate themselves and love themselves, because once they do that and they get in touch with that piece, right? See, Lily says that's right.
Even the puppy's saying it.
Yeah. And once they get in touch with that piece of it and that perspective, then their whole world will change, and then they'll feel more loved than they've ever did before. Because nobody, and I don't care who you are, no one can love you enough if you don't love yourself.
Exactly.
You'll never feel it.
Oh, for sure. It's funny that you kind of mentioned this topic because it kind of reminds me of something. I was being introspective, and it reminded me of something that I was struggling with for a while, and that's control. And whenever I think of control, I'm an abusive relationship or someone who is controlling a person. But in reality, I don't know. I've just noticed it took over every facet of my life. And one part of it that I noticed was the future. I'm always because, I want to be an entertainer, and I'll just compare myself to people. I'm whoa, this person got famous at this age, or this person already has a career and they're that age. And I feel it resonates with me and maybe some other people where they're just oh, I'm starting in this thing. But like, I don't know, you just kind of compare yourself to others and you just are already like anxious, like, how am I going to do this? How do I go about this? And I think way too hard about the future, I feel like.
Well, is it that you're thinking too far into the future, or are you comparing yourself too much to somebody else, or is it both?
I think it's slightly both, I feel like, because I always see, and it's always so silly, but I'll always see these videos on YouTube about like, oh, people who got famous at this age. Or another one is like a stigma of like singers where they're just like, oh, this person's too old to be a singer. Or like, oh, they got discovered late in life. And I've seen some stuff like that. And I was just like, well, I'm this age. And like, this person's already been famous for 7 years. Like, I'm not, you get in your head about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's easy to. And I think that comes back down to having to self-validate. Just like Lily over here is not really appreciating that she's on a short leash.
Literally and figuratively. She's on a short leash today.
No, but in all seriousness, I think especially for what your aspirations are.
Yeah.
If you just step back and continue to compare yourself, you're spending all this energy in comparison instead of energy in creating and moving forward. Right? So
yeah.
I don't know like Jim Carrey very well or Will Smith very well, but like when I look at both of them and I just get a feel for even just their own career tracks,
yeah,
I get a sense that even though that they both dealt with insecurities on some level at some point in their career, they kicked ass.
They really did.
They really did. And neither one of them are perfect.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
And they're both still or have been working through their own personal demons and that of their family. And, but the thing is they didn't look back.
You're right. Yeah.
Right. And some of that I think also comes with the fact that they're men.
Maybe. Yeah. Cause like,
and I don't mean to go off topic here, but
for sure.
I'm going to bring this back around. So when we think about women trying to even the playing field, career-wise, and I don't care what career it is, but women are trying to level the playing field. Treat me the same as you do a man. And I think, in reality, we're asking people to treat people like people.
Yeah, which is fair enough, yeah.
Right? So we don't care about the race, the, religious backgrounds, the sex of the person, just we're people. Can we all just be treated like people, paid the same, and, for the same kind of work that we're doing? But that aside, we do come with different talents.
Yeah.
So women are really good at seeing like a bigger picture, like kind of like if they could play it out and they can see it more broadly, to whereas guys could see the picture more narrow, more like the blinders on. That this is just the one direction that I'm heading in, and I can only see one step at a time. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just
different.
Yeah, it just is. But along with that, men have this great talent of reaching for more than what they may be capable of. Even though they're scared and shaking in their boots, they're still reaching because, man, I'm badass. I could do this.
Right?
I'm a man. I could do it.
It's like, whatever.
And that's definitely something that as ladies, we or women, we can admire and aspire to. Right?
Oh, for sure.
Because generally speaking, now these are all generalizations because I'm sure there's exceptions out there.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, women will wait until they are at 100% efficiency
that's
in
so
something
funny.
before they
so
step
true.
forward. Guys, 70%.
They're just like, all right, I'm like a good 60, but like, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love and admire that.
Oh, yeah. Like just going out. Yeah. And I think I feel the same way just because, like a lot of people, which is really cool, they'll be like, oh, Sherry, you're going to make it one day. You're going to make it one day. And I guess like I give myself too much pressure or whatever because people are like, oh, you're going to make it. And I'm over here like, how is that going to happen? And now I'm just stressed because like I want to be in control. I'm like, yes, they say it's going to happen. And I want to control the numbers and be like, yeah, I totally know when it's going to happen, at what time, at what point. And of course, that's not the fun of it. But like, I just get stressed about that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, god, like my numbers are bad, or like, oh, I'm like, maybe everyone's wrong, I'm like not gonna make it. And then I'm like, man, I kind of feel like a failure at points.
So then that comes back to that control piece that you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Wanting to have control over driving the numbers, wanting to have control over trying to pull the people in, and you're missing out on the fun that you're having.
That's true.
So when, people might want to know the future, right?
Yeah.
Read me my cards. Tell me my future.
Right?
What is my future?
I don't want to know.
But even so, it's impossible to know, because the future is only based on what you've done up to this point in time,
Mm-hmm.
and every decision you make after that changes the line.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So even though these people are laying on you, Sherry, you're going to be famous one day. Wah! Yay! We're the audience, and we got our lights on, and we're waving. But that was based on what they knew of Sherry in that moment. And probably what they knew of you in that moment was that you were having fun.
I was having fun.
So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah.
Right? And letting go with the control piece is just to get out of your head, into your heart, and have some fun. Because when you're in your head and you're overanalyzing, you're over-controlling.
Yep.
You're just like feeling all kinds of stress and pressure. And next thing you know, the shoulders are starting to feel heavy and the gut is churning.
Yeah. No, I know. I get that in so many aspects. Like even, like just like milestone stuff, because I'll see people on like Facebook or whatever, they're like, oh, I got married, or somebody has a kid, or someone's like, oh, I moved out, and I'm like, ooh, like I can't even look that far ahead, because like I don't, like I'm just walking, I'm doing the 60%, I'm just walking and just seeing what happens.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
So what, you didn't move out? Look at all that rent you're saving.
You were
Look at the food bill you're saving.
True.
Electricity.
I
That's
know.
a thing too.
That is, that's a thing too. Yes, it is. Thank you.
So I think that's a trap that we can all fall into. And I think that's a piece that if we're not careful, that we want to certainly celebrate other people's life events.
Yeah,
right?
that's awesome.
But we just need to be careful that we're not comparing ourselves to them and to where they are in their journey, because that's their experience.
Oh, of course.
You're choosing to have a different experience. Yeah. And that's what we celebrate. Is
sure.
that I'm choosing to be here right here, right now. And it doesn't matter your circumstance, because even if your circumstance is not like the bestest of circumstances, you're still choosing to be there, because there are always options. There really are.
Yeah.
And please don't ever, ever, ever feel like that you're the only one on the planet going through what you're going through.
Oh, of course.
Because there are others, and I can almost guarantee you there are many others.
Yeah.
Having similar experiences. So we're not ever alone.
Oh, for sure.
In that.
Yeah, because I think you're right. And like, I just feel like, depending on who you're with, like sometimes, like, because the people, some people that I knew, it would just kind of be like a stigma, like, oh, you didn't do this yet, or oh, you haven't, reached these milestones, and it just sucks, because then you're just like, I don't know if anyone...
Please, honey, I understand, okay? Totally understand.
Right?
I remember being back in my 20s, and my own father, God bless him, my own father saying to my mom, what's wrong with Kathy? She can't even keep a man.
Wow,
and I'm like,
that's
really?
Great. Thank
really?
You guys.
Like, what's wrong with me? How about what's wrong with them? Because why does it have to be me? Maybe I just draw the needy people because, that's just who I am, and I just need to recognize that.
Oh my goodness.
And then I can put up the stop sign and say, we're not taking needy today.
We don't want it. It's funny you say that too, because I remember I was talking to somebody and I was like having a little epiphany as to, I think we said that in the first podcast about like, oh, like, my friends, well, some people I knew at the time, they're like, oh, you date and then like immediately get married. So I guess I would like put myself, I'm like, wow, like I can only keep them for like, a couple months or something. And now it's great because I got time to reflect and be like, that's just all part of like dating. That's normal. Like it should be like that.
Well, because with any experience in our life, it's all about getting to know ourselves. Getting to know what we like, what we don't like. And if you really want to break it down to the finer points, really what we're all here to do. So, hey, listen up. Anybody who doesn't know what their purpose is, I'm going to tell you. Yeah. We all basically have the same purpose.
Let's hear it, Kathleen. Let's hear it.
You ready? Here we go.
Okay.
we're all here to learn about love.
There you go. There you go.
Simple. Easy
As
peasy.
The Beatles said, all you need is love.
All you need is love. Don't turn off because of my singing.
Yeah.
And love has so many different aspects to it. There's the light side, there's the dark side. Mm-hmm. There's the, encompassing what is unconditional love. And sometimes trying to figure out what unconditional love is not showing love, right?
Yeah.
So there's many different ways to have that experience in what is love. What is the love of doing something? What is love of a person? What is love of a planet, of an animal? I mean,
you love your water. You tell it positive affirmations every day. Did you know that, guys?
Because I am made mostly of water. Thank you very much.
That's fair. That's fair. I know there was like one person who was telling me like, well, the moon affects the tide, and I guess we're made out of water too. So full moons affect people. So I heard something like that. But I think that's cool what you're saying, and I think something that I just feel like I wish I could tell more people is I feel like loving yourself. People like almost like, I don't know if they undermine it, but they don't realize how important it is.
Well, it could also be, and this could probably be a whole nother topic in and of itself.
Okay.
Right? So, loving yourself, what does it really mean, right?
Yeah.
And that's hard. I mean, it's really easy for me to say the words, love yourself.
I know.
Love yourself first.
It's hard.
But what does that mean? That means setting up good, clear boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if you happen to be somebody who cooks a meal for a family, and maybe one of the family members has to work late, or they didn't call, but dinner time is at such and such a time. Well, do you make everybody wait for that one person to come and have dinner? Or do you wait for that one person to come to have dinner? No, they know that dinner is at this time. And if they didn't have, the politeness to call you, or they didn't have the foresight to call and say, hey, I'm held up, go ahead and have without, then that's your boundary. You just have the dinner. You can make them a nice little plate and say, hey, we had dinner. And,
here's a TV dinner.
And we saved this for you to heat up so that, you still have something. And so we can be loving of ourselves and loving of them.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that might be a lame example, but it's
a good,
it's
a
still
good
like
example.
An idea, right?
Yeah.
It's just an idea of what that is. Loving yourself is making sure you're getting enough rest so that you don't wake up as a crabby butt the next morning. Or a crybaby, because that's usually me. Like, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm a crybaby. Yeah. So,
I just get constipated and upset. So I'm a giant child, a giant baby, and it's real bad.
Right. So, and then loving yourself too is about eating what's good for your body to sustain it and to keep it running and functioning the way that it needs to, so that you don't have those kinds of problems.
Oh God, I know. And I've gotten like, I was telling someone the other day, like, I'm just like kind of like. Before I used to be like a very self-conscious person, especially look-wise, and it's gonna be like kind of weird, but like my friend's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, like when I was like growing up in like elementary school, middle school, high school, like the people I surrounded myself with, they just kind of were like, yeah, you're okay looking. Like, you're all right. Like, I kid you not. I asked someone, I'm like, am I ugly or something? And they're like, no, like you're, I'm sure someone would be into that. Or someone else was like, someone confused me for a guy, and they're like, sure, you don't look like a guy. Well, maybe it's because, like, we know you, so maybe that's why. And I just get these ridiculous, like, things, and I'm just like, am I? Until I went and, I got, like, some really nice friends, and were like, no, like, you're a very beautiful individual.
So you were loving enough of yourself to ditch those friends.
Yeah, like, jeez. If you guys have any friends like that, that is not the friends for you. Like, you're okay, I guess. Oh, jeez.
But, so even being loving of yourself.
Yeah.
And pulling that back around to what we were talking about, at the beginning of this. Mm-hmm. Be loving enough not to compare yourself.
Yes.
To others, to others' career moves. It doesn't mean that, there still is value in maybe researching someone's career path and saying, hey, does that resonate with me? Is that a way that I might want to go?
None of them resonate with me.
Well, then to me, that would say that you're going to pave your own path. Oof. I mean, because that is very possible.
I feel that in the back of my head, and I'm just like, oh, God.
Yes. I mean, the world is wide open.
It very much is. You're right.
And you're the only one stopping you.
Oh, my goodness. I love that. I love that so much. Fun.
And I think, too, letting go of expectations.
That's
right?
your big one. That's your big one you always tell me.
So what is suffering, Sherry? And here we're gonna do school now, Sherry.
All
What
right.
is suffering?
Okay. I know this. Pick me. Okay. It's I think having these expectations and like I guess constantly comparing it to that, like just not high expectations, but just having a expectation.
So expectations, attachments, and resistance.
Can you like write that on like
I'll put it on a big bulletin board.
Put
like
it on
big board that's blinky and fluorescent and it changes. And
I need that because that is a very big thing that I do because I will go into situations like now I'm trying to be better about it or more mindful, I must say. But before I'd go into like even if it was romance or whatever, and I'd be like, okay, like this is gonna be the time like someone like knows the name of Sherry or like this happens or maybe I know like there was like an internship that I did and I was like, oh, this is awesome, and I was like, okay, like when I apply for this internship then it's gonna happen, and then you just psych yourself up and I'm just like, wow, I'm just like sorely like disappointed in myself.
Well, I think too it comes with every step's getting you closer.
I like that. I like that better.
Yeah. So don't compare.
Okay.
We can look at things as inspiration as to, is this a track I want to go on or not go on? Can I mix them? Mash them together. Like maybe I like that track, a piece of that track, and a piece of that track, and a piece of that track, and we're gonna mesh it together and just make your own track, right? Yeah. The other thing is too is just don't put a lot of expectations on this something because that's limiting as well.
You're right. It is.
And attachment, having like going for an internship, right, and having those expectations,
I did that. Yep.
And then you're attached to it. So then when it doesn't play out the way that your brain is thinking, then there's that disappointment that comes in, right? Oh, for sure. Trusting is really important. Just trusting yourself, trusting your higher self, trusting the universe, trusting God that plan is coming, and these experiences are just another stepping stone to get you closer to the goal, to the purpose. I like that one a lot better. Yeah. I think that's really good. So, anything else you want to say before we close it out for tonight? Honestly, I think you covered everything with the insights of Kathleen. Oh, to go on. She's the best. No, I really appreciate that's so interesting, and that stuff resonated with me, and hopefully it resonated with you guys, because I think that's really cool stuff to keep in mind. I will tuck those in the back of my face. Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you for tuning in. Remember that you are bigger than anything that you're going through or anything that is happening around you.